Mom called me a failure at dinner, then I revealed I'd secretly paid $61,000 to save their house. I gripped my wine glass so hard my knuckles turned white, but I refused to let my mother see how deeply her words sliced through me. Isabella, you'll never measure up to your sister. The chandelier above our dining table casts shadows across the pristine white linens as silence crashes down on our family dinner. Natasha's promotion celebration dinner, that's why we're all gathered around my parents' oak dining table on a Thursday evening, the dinner I rushed to after pulling a 12-hour shift at the tech company, barely having time to swap my wrinkled blazer for a clean one. Mom, Natasha starts, but stops when our mother raises her perfectly manicured hand. It's simply the truth, dear. Your sister chose safety over ambition. Nothing wrong with that path, but we must acknowledge reality. My father clears his throat, studying his plate of half-eaten steak. Your mother has a point, Isabella. Natasha's climbing the corporate ladder at Goldman Sachs. She'll make partner before 35. Different life choices, that's all. I glance at Natasha in her sharp navy blazer, her blonde hair styled flawlessly despite a full day at the office. Then at our mother, wearing the diamond earrings I bought her last Mother's Day, the ones she claimed were lovely but not quite my taste before wearing them to every single one of Natasha's work events. Something snaps inside me. 2 years of swallowed words rise like bile in my throat. I stand, open my leather purse, and pull out the mortgage statement I've been carrying for 3 days, waiting for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment for this revelation. I've been paying your bills for 2 years, I say, placing the paper squarely in the center of the table, including the mortgage on this house. My mother's eyes widen briefly before she composes herself. She waves dismissively, that familiar gesture that makes my stomach clench with remembered humiliation. That's what families do, Isabella. Natasha needs to focus on building her career. My mind flashes to Natasha's college graduation 5 years ago. My parents presented her with keys to a brand new silver BMW, complete with a giant red bow tied to the antenna. Later that same afternoon, they handed me a gift bag containing a coffee mug printed with University of Texas Engineering in faded letters. You're already established, Mom had explained when she caught my confused expression. Your sister needs our support during this transitional period. Then came that first panicked phone call 18 months ago, Dad's voice uncharacteristically shaky, explaining a temporary financial crisis. Just one mortgage payment, they promised, just until the consulting firm stabilized. I touched the corner of the mortgage statement now spread across our dinner table like evidence in a courtroom. 18 months of payments isn't temporary assistance, I say quietly. Family supports each other, Mom says, her voice hardening like steel. Why are you being so incredibly selfish? I reach into my purse again and pull out the thick manila folder I've been carrying like a secret weapon. Bank statements, wire transfer confirmations, cancelled checks, 18 months of financial bleeding organized in a neat accordion file that represents my methodical documentation of every dollar. I've supported plenty, I say, my voice steadier than my trembling hands suggest, but I'm not your personal ATM anymore. My father's face reddens like a ripe tomato. Your sister is at a pivotal point in her financial career, Anne. And I'm at a pivotal point in my patience, I interrupt, surprising myself with the steel that's crept into my voice. Natasha looks between us, genuine confusion creasing her usually perfect forehead. What exactly is happening right now? Nobody answers her directly. My mother stares at me with narrowed eyes that could cut glass. My father studies the ceiling fan as if divine intervention might descend from its rotating blades. I stand in my parents' dining room, suddenly hyper-aware of what I'm risking. These are my only family connections, the people who raised me, drove me to soccer practice, helped with homework. The sister I tutored through calculus and drove to dance recitals every Saturday for 3 years. Yet looking at their faces now, I see for the first time how they measure my worth. Not in love or shared memories or blood relations, but in dollars I can provide while staying conveniently invisible in the background of their narrative. I'll be taking a sabbatical from family dinners, I announce, gathering my purse with deliberate calm, and from family financial contributions. My mother's face hardens into something I barely recognize, a mask of cold fury. You'll regret this decision, Isabella. Family is all we truly have in this world. I pause in the arched doorway, feeling a strange lightness spreading through my chest like helium. Then I guess I have absolutely nothing. A full week passes after that explosive dinner. Besides Natasha's occasional guilt-laden text messages, my parents maintain radio silence. However, on the following Thursday afternoon, my mother calls with honey in her voice. "Isabella, darling, could you help organize my tax documents? You know how brilliant you are with numbers." A backhanded compliment that acknowledges my analytical skills while simultaneously dismissing my entire career. I never intended to discover what I found that day. As I sort through the chaotic mountain of documents scattered across her mahogany desk, a familiar name catches my peripheral vision. Mine. I freeze completely. A student loan statement in my hand, not mine, but bearing my name. The words blur, then sharpen with horrifying clarity. A payment of $22,800 with a wire transfer confirmation displaying my bank account number in black and white. My fingers tremble as I flip through more pages like a detective uncovering evidence. Car payments for a Honda Accord I've never driven. Credit card statements for purchases I've never made. Restaurant bills from establishments I've never visited. My stomach twists into a knot so tight I can barely draw breath. These weren't emergency payments. This wasn't temporary assistance during a rough patch. This was systematic. Calculated. Expected. I hear footsteps behind me and turn to see my mother framed in the doorway, wearing the pearl necklace, my Christmas gift, gleaming against her crisp white silk blouse. "Did you locate the mortgage interest forms?" she asks casually, then notices the incriminating papers clutched in my hands. Something flickers across her face, not guilt or shame, but irritation at being caught red-handed. "What is this?" My voice sounds distant, like it belongs to someone else entirely. Dad appears behind her, reading glasses perched on his graying head. Natasha materializes in the hallway, thumbs flying across her iPhone screen, barely glancing up from whatever social media drama currently captivates her attention. "Isabella, don't create a scene," Mom says, stepping into the office with practiced authority. Dad follows like an obedient shadow, both of them looming over me as I sit trapped in the leather desk chair. The financial ledger lies open between us like a confession written in numbers and dates. "You used my money to pay Natasha's student loans." I tap the statement with my index finger for emphasis. $22,800. Mom waves dismissively, that infuriating gesture again. "You were helping the family unit." Natasha's educational debt represented our most pressing financial obligation. "And her car payments?" I hold up another damning statement. $4,200 last year alone. "Transportation is absolutely essential for her position," Dad says, adjusting his glasses nervously. "She conducts client meetings across the city." "The credit card bills?" I fan out the statements like playing cards. $8,400 in designer clothes and upscale restaurants. "Professional appearance matters tremendously in investment banking," Mom replies without missing a beat, as if this explanation justifies everything. I look past them toward Natasha, who finally pockets her phone with an elegant shrug. "I honestly didn't ask for any of this financial help. Mom said you were thrilled to contribute." The room suddenly feels claustrophobic, the walls closing in like a trap. 18 months of believing I was providing temporary assistance during a family emergency, when all along I was funding Natasha's lifestyle upgrade. "Natasha needs freedom to build her career," Dad explains, his tone suggesting I should grasp this obvious logic. "You have stability. Job security. Stable. Like a reliable workhorse. Dependable. Boring. Invisible. The practical daughter whose sole purpose is supporting the family star while remaining perpetually in the shadows." I push back from the desk, desperately needing space to breathe. My own student loans are still outstanding. I've been putting every spare dollar toward Natasha's education instead of mine. "That's completely different," Mom says with conviction. "Your career choice doesn't require the same level of professional presentation." The unspoken comparison hangs between us like poison gas. Software engineering versus investment banking. Back office versus client-facing. Technical versus glamorous. Invisible versus celebrated. Do you have any comprehension of what this is doing to my financial future? I ask, my voice growing stronger with each word. If I continue supporting everyone else, I'll never build anything for myself. Mom blinks, genuinely confused by my concern as if I've spoken in a foreign language. Family supports family, Isabella. We've always taught you that fundamental value. Sierra's engagement party is approaching, she continues, a new gleam sparkling in her eyes like a predator spotting prey. Naturally, you'll contribute to making her day absolutely perfect. The casual assumption hits me like a physical blow to the solar plexus. I grab the ledger, flipping frantically to the final page where I've meticulously tracked every payment like an accountant documenting embezzlement. The total glares back at me in stark black ink, $61,000. $61,000. 18 months of mortgage payments, student loan payments, car payments, credit card bills. $61,000 spent supporting my family while they consistently treated me as the less successful daughter. I closed the ledger with trembling hands, finally understanding the complete picture. All this time, I'd been enabling their favoritism by financing it directly. Later that afternoon, I spread the evidence across my colleague Sarah's kitchen table. We sit with cooling coffee between us as she examines each page with the thoroughness of a forensic accountant. This isn't normal family support, Isabella, she says finally, closing the ledger and sliding it back toward me. This is exploitation. The word hits like a sledgehammer. Exploitation. Not assistance. Not family duty. Not temporary help. Deliberate manipulation and financial abuse. As I drive home that evening with ledger copies secured in my messenger bag, I wrestle with an impossible choice that feels like standing at a crossroads in a storm. Should I immediately cut off all financial support and force my family to confront reality? Or gradually reduce payments to provide adjustment time? The first option might destroy relationships beyond any hope of repair. But the second meant more months of personal financial strain while they continued taking advantage. What would you do when the people who should love you unconditionally only value what you can provide them financially? The following Wednesday morning at work, my phone buzzes incessantly with the 7th call from my cousin this week. My family has organized an emergency intervention meeting, and apparently, my attendance isn't optional. I silence the phone and place it face down on my desk, watching the screen illuminate again almost immediately like a beacon of guilt. Are you avoiding someone specific? Sarah asks from her adjacent cubicle, eyebrow raised with concern. My mother organized a family intervention without consulting me, I say, massaging my temples where a headache is building. Now they expect me to fund some elaborate family reunion. Sarah's eyes widen with disbelief. The sheer audacity after everything they've already taken. I nod, opening my email to discover 4 messages from aunts and uncles I haven't spoken to in months. Each contains subtle variations of the same manipulative request: the family needs help, and apparently, I'm the designated financial savior. Did you know about this reunion? I ask Sarah. No, but your sister's engagement announcement is all over LinkedIn, she says, rotating her monitor toward me. Your mother tagged half the city except you. Natasha's radiant face fills the screen, a massive diamond ring prominently displayed like a trophy. The caption reads, "Planning the celebration of the century for my brilliant daughter. #blessed #proud mama." My stomach drops when I read the first comment. Isabella will help make everything absolutely perfect. Red heart. I've become the family ATM, and now they're making public promises on my behalf without consultation. That evening, I discover something that changes everything. Curled up on my couch with herbal tea, scrolling through Facebook, my thumb freezes over a photo posted 6 weeks ago. My parents and Natasha pose in front of the Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas, champagne glasses raised in celebration. The timestamp shows it was taken during the weekend I worked double overtime to cover an emergency property tax payment for their house. They went to Vegas with my money while telling me they couldn't make basic ends meet. Sleep becomes impossible. Night after night, I lie awake calculating numbers: how much I've given, how much they've demanded, how much I have left. The weight of financial worry presses against my chest until breathing becomes a conscious effort. During team meetings at work, I catch myself drifting away, thinking about the overdue notice on my own student loan payment while Natasha's loans are completely paid off with my money. You look completely exhausted, my supervisor comments after I miss a deadline for the first time in 4 years. Everything okay? I'm fine, I lie, but the dark circles under my eyes tell the complete truth. I start maintaining a detailed journal, every phone call, every guilt trip, every dollar transferred. The small leather notebook becomes my constant companion, documenting the pattern of manipulation that has shaped our family dynamic for years. One Tuesday evening, as I'm organizing financial documents in my apartment, a familiar voice startles me. "Isabella." Uncle Robert stands by my building's entrance, his weathered face creased with genuine concern. "Uncle Robert," I say, surprised. "What brings you here?" "Looking for you specifically," he says simply. "You've missed the last 4 family gatherings. That's not like you at all." I look down, unsure how to explain the complexity of my situation. "I always considered you the backbone of this family," he continues, his voice gentle but firm. "Now I'm wondering if they've been taking advantage of that strength." His words hit with unexpected force, and I blink back sudden tears that threaten to spill over. The following Saturday, I find myself back in my parents' kitchen against my better judgment. Natasha sits at the granite counter flipping through bridal magazines, while my mother circles venue options with a red pen like a general planning a campaign. "The country club deposit is due next Friday," my mother announces without looking up from her planning. "Natasha deserves the perfect celebration. You can handle the venue deposit next week." Not a question or request. A statement of expectation. Something inside me snaps, a clean, decisive break like a branch in a windstorm. "I'm not paying another cent," I say, my voice steady as granite, "for anything." The kitchen falls silent except for the refrigerator's gentle humming. Natasha's head jerks up from her magazine. My mother freezes, pen hovering over the page like a sword. "Don't be ridiculous," she finally says, but uncertainty flickers across her usually confident face. "I'm completely serious," I continue, finding unexpected power in the stillness of my voice. "I've paid mortgages, student loans, credit cards, car payments. I'm done." My mother's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air as she searches for the manipulative words that have always worked before. But for the first time, I see her tactics with crystal clarity: the guilt, the comparisons, the subtle insults wrapped in maternal concern. "I've been financing my own mistreatment." "You can't just," she begins desperately. "I can," I interrupt with newfound authority, "and I am." The next day, Sarah spreads detailed spreadsheets across her dining room table, calculator in hand like a weapon against financial ignorance. "Without supporting them," she says, circling a number with her pen, "you could pay off your student loans in 4 years instead of 15. The figure stares back at me, a future I hadn't dared imagine, financial freedom that seemed impossible while carrying my family's burden. Uncle Robert calls that evening, his voice warm with approval. "I spoke with your mother today," he says. "She's not pleased with your decision." "I figured as much." "Good," he responds firmly. "Sometimes family needs to learn difficult lessons. I'm proud of you for establishing boundaries." That night, I open my laptop and begin researching job opportunities outside of Chicago. Denver catches my attention: tech positions with higher salaries, mountain views, a fresh start 2,000 miles from Illinois. I allow myself to imagine a life built around my own dreams instead of my family's financial demands. 6 months later, morning sunlight streams through my Denver apartment windows, painting my small dining table in warm gold. I stare at the notification from my student loan app: balance reduced by another $3,200 this month. No mortgage payments for my parents. No credit card bailouts for Natasha. Just my own financial freedom, one payment at a time, building something that belongs entirely to me. My laptop chimes with an incoming video call. Sarah's familiar face fills the screen, her Chicago kitchen visible behind her like a window to my past life. "Look at you," she says, sipping coffee from her oversized mug. "Denver suits you perfectly. You seem completely different." I straighten my shoulders with newfound confidence. I closed 3 major projects this quarter. My team lead says I'm on track for senior architect by year end. "And nobody taking credit for your work this time," Sarah notes with satisfaction. I laugh, a genuine laugh that starts deep in my belly and rises without restraint or apology. It's strange not having to downplay my success to avoid making someone else feel inadequate. "What about that hiking group you mentioned?" "We're planning a weekend trip to Rocky Mountain National Park next month." I hesitate, then add, "and I've been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but..." "But you're allowing the possibility," Sarah's smile widens knowingly. "That's the real victory, Isabella." Later that evening, I slip into an emerald green dress for my company's quarterly dinner. As I adjust my simple silver necklace in the mirror, I notice my reflection, shoulders back, chin lifted, eyes clear and confident. The woman who left Chicago 6 months ago would have hunched slightly, making herself smaller to avoid drawing attention. The banquet room buzzes with conversation when I arrive. My department head waves me toward a table near the front, close to where the company executives sit. There she is, he announces to the assembled group. Isabella's client retention scores were the highest in the company this quarter. The Morrison Industries account specifically requested her for their digital transformation project. Applause follows his words. My cheeks warm, but I don't deflect or minimize the praise like I used to. I simply say, thank you. I'm proud of the work our team accomplished. When the woman beside me asks about family, a question that once twisted my stomach into knots, I respond with calm honesty. My parents and I are taking some space to reassess our relationship, I say, my butter knife steady in my hand. My sister and I are working towards something more honest and balanced. No shame colors my voice. No elaborate excuses fill the silence. Just truth, simply and clearly stated. Sometimes family relationships are complicated, she responds with understanding. Yes, I agree. And sometimes they're exactly what they appear to be. The weekend brings Sarah and Uncle Robert to Denver for a visit. We gather in my living room with takeout containers scattered across my coffee table like a picnic indoors. Uncle Robert raises his glass of wine in a toast. To Isabella, he says, who taught me it's never too late to choose your real family. Sarah joins in, to building the family you choose, not just accepting the one you inherited. We clink glasses as I absorb their words, feeling the truth settle into my bones like warmth. Last week, an unexpected email appeared in my inbox. Natasha's name in the sender field made my cursor hover over the delete button, but curiosity won. I took over Mom and Dad's mortgage payments last month, she wrote. They weren't happy about the transition. Dad actually suggested I ask you for assistance until I get established in my new budget. I told him I've been established for years, I just never learned financial independence. That's changing now. The email continued, detailing her struggles with budgeting and financial responsibility for the first time in her life. It's harder than I expected, she admitted, but also more satisfying. I think I understand now what you were trying to tell all of us. The final paragraphs made me read twice. Mom and Dad want to visit you in Denver. I told them that's entirely your decision, not theirs or mine. They don't quite understand why you won't let bygones be bygones. I'm starting to understand why you can't. I'd like to visit sometime if you're open to it, just me. I have a lot to apologize for, and I'd rather do it in person. My reply was brief but genuine, not ready for Mom and Dad yet, but I'd love to show you the Rockies next spring. As I closed my laptop that evening, I reflected on the delicate balance between forgiveness and self-protection. Natasha seems genuinely changed by confronting our family's dysfunctional patterns, but our parents remain unchanged, still expecting others to accommodate their manipulation. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable destructive behavior, even when, especially when, it comes from family. I've learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. And sometimes, walking away from people who only value what you can give them is the first step toward finding people who value who you actually are. The mountain views from my Denver apartment remind me daily that some distances are necessary for perspective. Some relationships require space to become healthy. And some family bonds are stronger when they're chosen rather than simply endured. What would you do? Would you attempt to rebuild relationships with family members who've proven unwilling to change, or focus your energy on nurturing connections with people who respect your boundaries from the beginning?